Hi there, everybody. I personally have been looking forward to Sacrifire for quite a number of years now, because it seems like it was eons ago that it was announced, and we've heard nothing at all about it. But now that has changed. The other day, I got an email from the developers, and they asked me about a playtesting version, and they said, "Hey, would you like to try it out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, duh, of course I do. Give me a frickin' break." So I jumped at that chance, and now here I want to tell you all about it. And hey there, everybody, my name's David, and if you are new to the channel, please be sure that you subscribe to support top 10s, news, and reviews, and smash that like button to show your love. And now, let me deep dive into this super unique RPG. So first things first, the playtesting version that I got to play allows you to explore pretty much just the town and one dungeon, and do a couple of side quests here and there. All told, it lasted roughly about an hour, and as it is still a playtesting version, it can be a bit rough around the edges. So I do want to utilize this opportunity to first let y'all know about it, but secondly, also let the developers know how I feel about it, so that they can improve their game too. I will say this, if I were to compare this game to any other one, I would say that it reminds me the most of the original Valkyrie profile, as you explore massive dungeons and towns in a side-scrolling manner, jump and double jump, solve puzzles, and deal with on-screen encounters. And believe me, I am a huge fan of Valkyrie profile, so already I am thinking good things. However, whereas Valkyrie profile has a major Norse mythology theme, Sacrifier also dives deep into its own religious themes, most notably Catholicism as well as Islam. You play as a young soldier in training living in the underground city of Antioch, Ezekiel, who sets off to join an elite sect of the Church of Seal, known as the Bishops, and it's their job to keep the city safe from the demons that roam the surface above, as well as the beasts that live below. In order to become a bishop, he has to confess his sins to the Mallorca, which essentially is kind of like a Pandora's box containing all the evil in the world. And this here gave me strong Blackstone of Mecha vibes. But anyway, before you can do that, the Mallorca is stolen away by the demons, so of course it is your job to chase after them and retrieve it. I really do love the pixel art as well as the setting. It's done very well, and it really does a lot to draw you in. Though I will say, I am not a fan of the character portrait art because it's just so jarring. Everything else is done with pixel art, except for the portraits. It's so weird. And I've got to say, this is not the first time that I've seen this weirdo portrait art in an RPG either, especially an indie RPG. So I don't know what's going through their heads in these indie developers to make this portrait art look so disjointed from the rest of the art. But, I mean, whatever. It's not the biggest deal ever, but I figured that I'd bring it up. Now, let's get into that dungeon crawling and town exploration. Whenever you're exploring the towns, there's a ton of NPCs all over the place, but you can't talk to them, and their dialogue just kind of pops up. So I don't like that, and because of that, I just ignored all the NPCs completely. I feel like if you have NPCs in your game, you should be able to talk to them. One new addition, though, that I really liked was the treasure counter. Each time that you open up a chest, it will clearly state the number of more treasure chests that you have to open in order to find them all. And this goes for both the towns and the dungeons. And whenever you explore, you can move from right to left, but you can only move up and down when a little transition indicator pops up on the screen. Now, let's talk about the battles, because while everything else is fantastic, great chef's kiss, the battle system isn't it. It does take quite some time to get used to, and I do understand where they went with it and what they're trying to do, but at the end of the day, this is jank personified. This combines real-time action along with turn-based combat, but unfortunately, it just doesn't do it well. Let me explain, because here is where I really want to spend the majority of the time with my review, going over this battle system, because it needs a lot of explanation. This is not something that you can just kind of pick up and play and figure out on the go. You really need to dive deep into this in order to get it and understand it. Just like in a Tales or Star Ocean game, you can move around at will, but time will stop whenever you're attacking or the enemies are attacking you, and you can either attack with a weak or a strong sword attack. Weak attacks cost 1 AP and will build up your shield points, as well as temporarily damage the enemy's shields. Strong attacks, though, cost 2 AP and will permanently destroy enemies' shields, while building up your combo points instead of your shield points. All of your different attacks cost AP, and you can only restore AP by moving around the field. So you might think, okay, well I'll just move around and dodge all the enemy's attacks, but it doesn't really work that way here, because most enemies' attacks are essentially unavoidable. You can roll and dodge, but only for like the on-screen bullet type attacks. Whenever the enemies really do attack you, the combat freezes, and you're just hit. So instead of moving around to avoid enemy attacks, you end up moving around to find restoration orbs. These various orbs can restore your HP, shield points, and AP. And now I want to talk about shield points. Essentially, it's like a second HP meter, because as an enemy attacks you, first your shield points are drained, then your HP are drained. Also, if you get right up on top of an enemy and you attack it, the game doesn't auto-target that closest enemy. So you need to use the right analog stick in order to change your target to the closest enemy, all the while you're moving around the field and dodging bullets and dodging other attacks. So that's kind of annoying because it works that way with auto-targeting, in every single other action RPG known to man. So this is yet another needless frustration. I understand having to have like a targeting system made for magic spells or whatever. It makes sense. But if you're just trying to attack the enemies and kill them, I shouldn't have to change my target all the time. I should just have to run up to the enemy, and it should auto-target, and I should just be able to hit it. In addition to your regular sword attacks, you can hit the A button to cast magic spells or use items. But that's janky too, because for some unknown reason, you can't cast a spell on an enemy if the enemy is building up for an attack. It's so obnoxious and weird. Like I said, I understand what they're trying to do here, but it doesn't flow, and it's not fluid like it is in the Trails series of the Star Ocean games. Instead, because of that turn-based addition, it just comes off as super janky and super disjointed. And that's saying a lot, because I'm a turn-based guy. If I have the option between turn-based and action, I will choose a turn-based game any day of the week. Those are just my favorites, but this ain't it. It just seems so forced, and it doesn't feel natural. Also, there's no difficulty selector, and the battles do tend to be much on the harder side. I died multiple times here, and this is just the prologue. This is the easy part. So, well, yeah, this is still in playtest mode. I guess the balancing isn't already there. I couldn't believe just how hard some of these regular trash mobs were, let alone the ridiculous boss. Here's a little note to the developers. Not everything needs to be a Dark Souls game. My God, your game can just be, fun. In their defense, though, the game does autosave after every battle, so it's not like you lose any progress for dying, but give me a difficulty selector at least. Thankfully, though, there are some ways to avoid encounters. If you use a Davos Blast on the field before the enemy strikes you, you'll bank 80% of the experience points from that battle, and you can bank up to 5 different battles, then just fight like a normal encounter, and you'll grab all that experience. Kind of like the combat system back in Fantasia. Except, there you have to fight all those battles, here you just have to fight one battle. The leveling up system is pretty cool too. With each level up, you'll receive a Davos point, which you can use to unlock the next skill node on the skill tree. And each node also comes with like adjoining blank stat nodes. So each time that you get the main powered up node on the skill branch using your level up point, you can then insert HP, strength, defense, shield up, etc., whatever nodes, into that main node in order to power up Ezekiel as you see fit. Also, if you want to, you can refund those skill points, so don't worry too much about like leveling up your character incorrectly or anything else like that. Overall, the visuals, the voice acting, the puzzles, the exploration, all that stuff there is fantastic. I love the storyline, I love the setting, I love being able to get drawn into this world, but I just can't get over this super strange battle system with its steep learning curve. As far as I'm concerned, battle systems can make or break a game. You're going to be battling monsters for like 90% of it after all. So unless they can figure this out, this battle system is going to single-handedly break this game. It looks nice on the surface, but when you're actually playing it, trying to understand it, it is a completely different story. Y'all know that old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. It's definitely true here, because the cover is very pretty. It looks like it's perfect on the surface. But when you get inside, into the pages, into the meat of this battle system, it is putrid. Yeah, this is still in beta, but I really do hope that they take some of my feedback into account and do something with this battle system. It just seems way too complicated for its own good. I've gotta say, it's kind of like Undertale meets the Tales series, and there's just way too much happening. From dodging like the bullet hell and all the various attacks and everything, to getting hit and there's nothing that you can do about it, or getting way too close to enemies only to have to retarget to get to the right enemy in addition to dodging and moving away from all the other enemies. Then there's like the Souls-like difficulty, and it's just so much. So with that, I think that I've said my piece about Sacrifier. And again, it is still in development. And again, this feedback is for y'all, the viewers, as well as the developers, in order to improve their game. And I really hope that they take my feedback into account, because I still do have some high hopes for this. But now, I want to know, what do you feel about it? Let's get a discussion going on here, and let's all talk and chat about it, because I'm always in the comments too. And if you like what I do here on the channel, please head on over to the Patreon to sign up for early access to my videos, as well as behind the scenes photographs. The link to it is over in the video description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.